Okay. Welcome in, everyone. Appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules to join us here today. My name's Aaron Shaw. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and my core focus here at Military Friendly is helping organizations like yours solve one of the most pressing operational challenges in modern business. It's building sustainable elite talent strategy and programming. My Marine Corps background took me all over the world, like so many other service members. Did 2 tours to Iraq. Immediately upon the second, got voluntold to go on recruiting duty, where some of the foundational elements of my business acumen, my capabilities in relation to strategy and business development started to grow. So I'm thankful for that time, as I know much of my brothers and sisters are, as it relates to now being in a veteran status. But all of that led me here to Military Friendly and the ability to have these detailed problem-solving type of conversations with organizations all across the current national environment. So I want to start today with a direct truth, if I may. As Americans, we deeply respect and appreciate our military community. But as business leaders, and whether you're at the top of the heap, whether you're a marketer, a recruiter, C-suite, whatever the case may be, we have to recognize that hiring veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses is not about charity. It's not about checking a DE&I box or simply saying thank you for your service. It is a smart, high ROI, competitive business strategy. So we aren't here today to discuss one-off hiring events or quick Band-Aid fixes. What we're going to be doing is laying out a strategic, year-round framework to build a predictable, metrics-driven military recruitment engine. Over the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll walk through the 3 core areas: the macro labor crisis, why demographic headwinds make military talent an absolute operational necessity, escaping transactional pitfalls, why reactive hiring fails, and why talent acquisition requires the same strategic rigor as customer acquisition. Crazy concept, I know. And then finally, the 3 engines of success: how to systematically develop your programs, build awareness, and drive response to scale your talent pipelines. All right. Back one slide, sorry. So first up, the macro talent crisis and the pipeline solution. Let's look at the macroeconomic reality. We are navigating a historical structure labor deficit. Declining birth rates, shifting workforce dynamics, and the accelerated retirement of the baby boomers are shrinking the traditional candidate pool. Data from labor market analytics firm Lightcast reveals that these combined forces will result in a 6 million worker deficit in the US by 2032. Meanwhile, global research shows 75% of employers are struggling to fill critical open roles, and 70% report being trapped in a double-edged dilemma: too few total applicants and too many unqualified ones. When your operational demands exceed available headcount, standard growth vectors like waiting on domestic demographic shifts or automation take years to deliver results. Without a new strategy, most businesses end up playing a zero-sum game, endlessly poaching the same local candidates back and forth in an expensive game of musical chairs. Your long-term edge lies in your ability to sustainably attract and retain resilient talent, a concept I know that a lot of you are familiar with, but putting it into practice sometimes easier said than done. The legacy mistake most employers make is relying on reactive transactional fishing, casting a line when a job opens up, hoping for a bite, and watching the candidate pipeline dry up the second they stop. We must stop treating military hiring as an administrative cost and start treating it like customer acquisition. That means building a permanent, self-replenishing talent pipeline directly from the military ecosystem. So pillar number one, developing programs. To convert military candidates effectively, you must first build internal readiness. Introducing military talent into an organization without prepared HR systems is like pouring water into a leaky bucket. It wastes valuable time and recruitment capital. Job seekers are judging your organization by their experience during the hiring process. A primary friction point is that civilian TA teams often lack cultural fluency. They struggle to decode military resumes, translate ranks, or map specialized skills into civilian job titles. Through the military-friendly membership, the first pillar focuses on building and benchmarking your internal framework. You have web-based training, which is expert-led training designed to equip your HR and recruiting teams with military cultural fluency and accurate skills translation. You have survey results and scorecards, data-driven assessments mapping your operational strengths and uncovering exact areas of improvement. There's benchmarking reports. This is direct performance comparisons against industry peers and Fortune 500 standards to highlight where you lead and where you invest. And then finally, you've got expert support, dedicated consultation assistance to help structure your program and help bridge the civilian military divide. Pillar one ultimately ensures your internal machinery is collaborated and retaining talent before you turn the recruitment faucet on. Pillar number two, this is all about building awareness, or brand equity, as I like to talk about. And once your internal foundation is solid, you need to market your career opportunities. We're talking about taking the conversation from an internal facing, in some cases celebratory conversation, right? We've taken the survey, we've been evaluated, we've been awarded. Ultimately, now how do we go beyond these four walls and make this more of a known commodity up against the military connected audience? And transitioning service members, whether they're completing a 4-year contract at 22 or retiring after 20 at the age of 42, are equipped with elite skills but often lack established civilian networks. So they're asking, where do I fit in? Who can I trust? And how do I find these folks that are out there? They actively seek out recognized, proven brands. No surprise there. If your commitment isn't visible, they will default to your competitors. Most talent teams rely on regional outreach and their immediate zip codes. However, the military is a transient worldwide talent pool. To win, you need a global footprint that reaches candidates at bases around the world before they transition back home in terms of home of record or elsewhere when they decide to go and lay roots. Military Friendly specifically provides that beacon of credibility. You have worldwide print and digital ads, premium ad placements across GI jobs, military spouse, and in some instances, another one of our brands, Vetrepreneur, in those publications, which are placed directly into the hands of service members during Mandatory Transition Assistance Program, also known as TAP, and those courses are happening globally. There's logo licensing, rights to feature the official military-friendly seal across your career sites, job posts, and other marketing materials, which is an immediate authoritative stamp of trust. And then finally, there's sponsored content in here, which is leveraging high domain authority on militarifriendly.com, gijobs.com, or militaryspouse.com to tell your brand story, raise your search visibility, and validate your candidate value proposition. Pillar number 3. This is driving response. And this is where developing programs and building that brand equity that we just talked about with this audience establish long-term pipeline stability, yes, but you also have immediate roles to fill today. Pillar number 3 turns established brand awareness into active, high-quality candidate applications. We combine direct response recruitment tools to push qualified candidates straight into your talent funnel. First up, the Military Friendly Talent Exchange platform, or as we call it, the MFTX. This is a mobile optimized employer profile ranking on search engines, paired with direct search and download access to a candidate database of pre-vetted military candidates. This parlays nicely into virtual job fairs, which is obviously in real time, live interaction with transitioning service members globally and without the expense of travel logistics. They're happening every single month in the name of consistency and to keep pace with those that are exiting, as well as those that have already gotten out and looking for their new challenge or opportunity. There's programmatic marketing capabilities, and this is precision digital targeting that places your open roles in front of military candidates across the web based on technical, specialty, and skill set. In other words, this is where you go from being present into being intentional about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then bringing that awareness and driving engagement directly back into the ecosystem. And then there's targeted e-blasts and social media boosts. And this is, again, a piece of the puzzle that leverages our history, our experience, and our first-party data, where you're enabling yourself to get directly into inboxes or put urgent job openings in front of targeted cohorts of veterans and military spouses across those different channels. When you unify all three of these engines, you develop, you build, you drive, you eliminate that start-stop hiring that plagues a lot of us and establish a predictable talent pipeline along with the necessary infrastructure to support the talent you worked so hard to get. Moving on. Okay. So while basic participation allows organizations to start their journey for free, keep in mind there is always a free element of this. What does that entail? That entails taking the military-friendly companies survey, being evaluated on the inputs and outputs currently connected to your military-connected programming, having a scorecard to better understand what are we doing well, where are there deficiencies or gaps, and then ultimately allowing for some strategic approach to filling those gaps. However, full membership unlocks the active recruitment tools, global branding rights, and campaign infrastructure required to mature and scale all things military-connected programming. It gives you a measurable, repeatable system and the strategic foundation you need to drive long-term, sustained success. If you're ready to stop fishing for a day and start building a permanent military talent engine, let's connect. Please take a moment, scan the QR code on the screen, or visit militaryfriendly.com/discover to book a one-on-one discovery call. At that time, what we'll do is review your current hiring goals. We'll match the right membership tier to your organization's strategy, and we'll get you off and running. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your commitment to hiring those who serve. We're now going to transition over to the live Q&A. Please drop any questions that you have regarding our framework, the survey, our membership tiers directly into the chat, and we'll address those now. So there are a few questions here in the chat box. I'm going to kick things off with, what do the first 30 to 60 days look like after a company becomes a member? So after we've navigated all of the things that I just outlined and we provide a pathway forward, the first next step is to be introduced to the member success team, your fulfillment plan, and finalize the mapping of all of these different components, when they're activated, how it all lays out, how it all ties together, as well as giving you access to a dashboard and the tools that you need to execute on whatever the definition of success is in terms of laying out the expectation and meeting the expectation as it relates to your membership. That would be within the first couple of weeks, right? So things start to get activated. You're starting to integrate these concepts and tools into your overall strategy internally to the organization. And then at the 60-day mark, everything should be up and operational, and starting to see, feel, and measure the impact of what this membership is designed to do. Now, those specifics will be very unique to each organization, depending upon the goals, depending upon the level of maturity or where you're at in your journey currently as it relates to military connected programming. How far in advance of separation are candidates seeing your publications? A lot of that depends on branch of service, depends on geolocation, depends on leadership, quite frankly. We're all coached realistically from very early on in our service to start thinking about what life looks like after we get out at about the 12-month mark prior to exiting. Now, everything that I just talked about is unique to all of those instances, right? So if leadership, for whatever reason, doesn't get it on their radar and start to push you in that direction until the 6-month mark or even the 3-month mark, right? Like those are realities that have happened. But somebody who's got a good thought process, has a good plan in mind, and starts to execute on that plan, typically, again, around that 12-month mark. So whenever that time, that clock starts, you're going to eventually find yourself in those transition assistance program classes, or TAP. And that's where these publications are delivered, and they first become exposed to them, which inevitably then leads them down the pathway of all the other things that we talked about in terms of visibility, the brand equity, the awareness across the different domains, social, so on and so forth. So while publications remain a very valuable vehicle, it's literally the only vehicle on this planet that ensures you have the opportunity to meet these folks at the point of intersection of transitioning out. By itself, not a strategy, as we've been describing all along, but a piece, of a strategy that ultimately is tied back together to the entire operating system. Next question, how quickly after signing up can I access membership tools? Kind of laid it out earlier. I think the traditional pathway in terms of timing is about a 2-week span from getting everything identified, saying, okay, yes, membership is now going to be the pillar of our foundation of all things military connected programming, and actually activating a lot of the tools that we've talked about here today. So it's a fairly quick process, but a lot of that will also be reliant upon who has visibility and ownership throughout the organization, how involved they are, so on and so forth. But a lot of that is identified and discussed during discovery calls and onward throughout the process. Last question here is this designed more for a small or a large organization? Great question. It's designed for all organizations. I alluded to this a little bit earlier. There's organizations out there that are very mature when it relates to military connected programming. There's those that are just getting started, and they're very much in the infancy stages. Size really has nothing to do with it. It's more so the understanding of how impactful this can be, not only for hiring and for retention, but for overall day-to-day operations. When you increase the quality of the folks that you're bringing in, you increase the quality of outcomes that the organization is producing. No brainer in my mind. But again, just to reemphasize, there's something for everybody. That's why there's tiers or levels of membership that are all designed to meet you where you're at currently on that journey path and allow you to scale over time as well. So no limitations on company size. I don't see anything else in the chat box, so I'll go ahead and wrap up here for now. Our team is standing by, though, so if you do have additional questions, feel free to drop them in they'll hang out for the next few minutes or so and get you taken care of. But again, appreciate you taking out the time to be here today, learn more about military-friendly memberships and for what you're doing for the military-connected audience. We'll talk soon. Take care.